This is another video clip from Dr. Jim's Corner. And for those of you who have read the latest article, or articles, I should say, in Robot Magazine, you will see that both our debugger and new Parallax viewport debugger have both been written up. And the Parallax debugger looks very nice. However, it is not a standalone debugger. It requires the PC, as opposed to the KISS Debugger, which requires no PC connection whatsoever, and still gives you real-time, in fact, all of the basic functions that the viewport debugger gives. I do like the presentation of the viewport, but again, once this is mounted in a robot and the robot is mobile, then the PC will no longer be something that you can use. So the only debugging function you will have is something that is standalone, and of course that's what this is for. Now, just to give you an idea, of course it's got help commands. There's H for help, and you can see the little H up there on the screen that I typed in. And here's the first screen, and then the second screen of the debugger. This is a little later debugger than the one that we had written up, but it still has the same functions, just a few extras. And for instance, we can give a real-time presentation of the registers and their contents, and of course these are very important whenever you realize that all I/O and everything that is done in this processor in one way or another deals with those I/O pins and of course the I/O registers, as well as the other internal registers. And just to give you an idea, we can, of course, update this on a real-time basis. You can see that each time it paints, if you look at register number 1, you can see its contents are changing. And, of course, a couple of the other registers as well. So this is truly a real-time debugger. And if you'll notice in the article, there are two ways to use it. One is to watch use it as a low-level debugger, and that is use it very much like a breakpoint. And when you get to a certain point in your program, then you can initiate the debugger. It will allow you to look at or change any variables, either in any of the memories, be that MRAM and MRAM. Each time I use that, I'm talking about the 32K hub RAM. That's main RAM, and I use MRAM for short, or ERAM in the case of our external expanded RAM. And those are the only two RAMs that exist. And then there is a programmable read-only memory capability, but that isn't used except at boot up time to load your code into the main RAM, MRAM. So at some point or another in your development of your robot, you are going to have a standalone debug capability that does not depend upon the PC for display and control functions. And so that's why I designed this debugger the way I did. It also has a higher level function where it is in control, and you then just execute your test routines one at a time. And it provides the user interface to be able to talk to and evaluate your code and what it's doing. Now, I'm going to then allow those who have the debugger to experiment, and the debug commands, as I stated before, are pretty much self-evident using the help screen. You can see there is the A, B, C, and the D. Each one has a little blurb that kind of explains to the user what that particular debug function does. And there are 2 pages of that. And for instance, one of the functions is to dump an area of MRAM, main RAM, let's say 4,000 here, about halfway up. And there we can see that 8 bytes at a time are displayed. And as I press any key, it will continue to scroll through to the next set of 8 locations and display those. And then, of course, you have also a function where you can display and change. In this particular function, it's just a display. And then when you get through, you just hit the N key on your little keyboard, and you're back to the prompt. And I could go through function by function, but I don't think that's the approach that you need. Most of you who are using the propellers are using them because you have some level of sophistication. Otherwise, you would use something like a basic stamp or something along that line that is not quite as low level as the propeller.